أناجي الحق في ليل بهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى أناجي الحق في ليل بهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum, and welcome to another edition of Perspective. My name is Faizel Patel. On tonight's show, we look at the sentencing of Oscar Pistorius, the Cheeky Lamba video that went viral, the Mazibuye African Forum and its anti-Indian statements, and we also look at some tech news. Remember, you can interact with me by sending me a mail on faisal@itvnetworks.tv, drop me a tweet at Faizy143, or you can even comment on facebook.com/Faizel Patel. Oscar Pistorius has finally been sentenced. Convicted killer Oscar Pistorius has been handed a sentence of 5 years in jail by Judge Thokozile Masipa in the High Court in Pretoria on Tuesday. Judge Masipa ruled that Pistorius was guilty of culpable homicide in the death of his girlfriend Reeva Steenkamp, who he shot and killed on the 14th of February last year. Now, Pistorius was also found guilty of negligent discharging of a firearm at Tasha's restaurant in Melrose Arch, for which he received a sentence of 3 years imprisonment, while he suspended for 5 years. Now, the two terms will be served concurrently. Now, the state prosecutor, Gerry Nel, referred to as the Bulldog, had argued that the Paralympian athlete had to pay for killing Steenkamp, saying the court owed it to society and for Pistorius to be an example to future offenders. Now, Nel earlier said that society will be happy with a 10-year imprisonment term, but obviously that was not the case. He received 5 years. Defense advocate Barry Rue, on the other hand, had argued that Pistorius could be rehabilitated and help society if given the chance to do community service. Now, he did suggest that the athlete be sentenced to house arrest and community service. Oscar Pistorius' family on Monday vowed to stand by him regardless of what sentence he receives. And I'm sure everybody will do that, whether it's your brother or whether it's your sister, your father, your uncle. You can't desert maybe your family in this sort of circumstances, whether he's guilty or not. As a family, you should stand together. So his family has vowed to stand by him regardless of what sentence he received, and now that we know, he's been sentenced to 5 years. Now, Carl and M.A. Pistorius have spoken to the media for the first time since the start of the Blade Runners trial, which began about 7 months ago. So they haven't spoken to anybody. We know the trial was for 7 months. They've always been sort of reserved in a dock. Nobody's speaking, but this time they've gone out. They've given 3 interviews. They've given one to ENCA, one to ITV in Britain, and one to CNN as well. And they've made a whole lot of comments with regards to sentencing, which happened on Tuesday. While there has been little reaction from Pistorius' family, the Blade Runner seemed almost resigned to the fact, as there was no emotion on his face as he faces a 5-year jail term. So he possibly knew in a way that this was coming. He was found guilty of culpable homicide, and now he has to do his time. But let's see what happens. I want to know what your thoughts are. You can mail me on my Twitter, on my email address. On my Twitter, you can comment on Facebook. Let me know what you thought of the sentence. Was it too little? Was it too much? Should he have got 10 years? Is a 5 years okay? Do you think he'll get parole? Let us know what the comments are, and inshallah, we will read out some of those comments in a future episode of Perspective. Now, moving on, We know that the post office provides an essential service. No matter with emails and Facebook comments and Twitter, everything, we still rely on snail mail for parcels and a whole lot of other stuff. And South Africans, and especially those in Gauteng, have been severely affected by a 10-week strike by the South African post office workers. It is just absolutely frustrating, I can tell you, and it's affecting a lot of people. We're not getting mail, the post office are closed, some people have ordered mail order stuff, you've ordered things from overseas, wherever the case you have ordered and you are not getting it because there is no workers at the post office. Now this, like I said, has widespread implications on business, students, and the general public who is not getting important documents delivered. You've got accounts, you've got Edgar's accounts, you've got clothing accounts, you've got no matter what accounts you have, and you're not getting statements. How do you go about doing this? You have to phone them, it's costing a lot of extra money, and it's just having serious repercussions. Now, some businesses have already indicated they will not return their business to the post office. Some are on the brink of collapse because they are losing customers, especially players in the direct marketing industry who rely on the post office. So if you've seen something in a mail order, or if you've seen something in a magazine, or something even on the TV, and you order this, you will not get it because of the strike. And who suffers as well is these direct marketing companies, because their goods are not getting delivered, people are not paying. Why would you want to pay for something that you haven't received? Now, last week, Parliament's Portfolio Committee of the Telecommunications and Postal Services Department heard that the post office was on the brink of collapse. I mean, here's a strike that's been just going on and on and on. Efforts to end the postal strike hang in the balance, with the Communication Workers Union alleging that actions by the post office have jeopardized agreement talks. Now the strike, now in its 9th week, so for 2 months almost, 2 months and 1 week, the strike has led to post office in the province closing intermittently. So several post offices have closed. Now, about 7,900 casual postal workers across the country have been engaged in a tussle with management over their demands to be given permanent employment. It had been expected to end the strike would be called within days, as both sides were keen to reach a deal swiftly. And I hope they reach a deal. I mean, this is, like I said, it's just having a serious impact on everybody. Alistair Tempest, he's the Chief Operating Officer of Direct Marketing Association of South Africa, says direct marketing companies that rely heavily on the post office for delivering are seriously impacted by the ongoing post office strike. Now, this affects especially campaigns by banks, insurance companies, and retailers. This is according to Rafiq Sali, and he's the managing director of Tunley's Mail and Print, one of 4 major bulk mailing houses that print, label, and sort such material on behalf of clients and to post office specification. Now, what Sali also says that the post office cannot accept all envelopes and packages, which results in delays in sending out the material and in the responses from the target markets. Now, that disrupts the marketing campaigns of Tunley's clients and creates problems with storage spaces. Now, the mail business has been declining. There's no doubt about it. Not only because people are using more advanced technology to communicate, but because companies like Postnet are able to offer a more reliable service. So I want to know from you, have you been affected by the postal services? Have you been getting your bills on time, your water and electricity, whatever the case may be? Let me know, send me a mail, drop me a tweet, or even a comment on Facebook. I just hope that this postal strike comes to an end. One of my favorite subscriptions, me personally, I haven't received for weeks, and I had to actually go out to a news agent and buy this. So it's costing you extra money. Your thoughts and comments on the postal strike. Moving on, last week I was in Cape Town. I attended the 35th Annual Crime Stoppers International Conference. I recorded at the ITV studios in there, and at the end of the conference, there was a declaration that was signed. So the 35th Annual Crime Stoppers International Conference, or CSI, which was hosted by Crime Line and the South African Police Services, or SAPS, has been successfully concluded. Now, the conference at the Cape Town International Conference Center saw almost 60 speakers from across the globe share their expertise and their knowledge relating to various crimes that plague the world today. And it's not only the world, our communities, our suburbs, people that are close to us, loved ones, have some way or another been affected by crime, whether it's murder or it's robbery or maybe even a cell phone theft, a smash and grab, whatever the case may be. President of Crime Stoppers International, Alex McDonald, says that the conference in South Africa has been one of the best organizations as they ever had in the 21st century. It's been very productive. It's had activity from the South African Police Service, from the community, from the business sectors, and more importantly, the delegates that were there took something away, and that to him has given them the opportunity to know that Crime Stoppers is a global organization. He says they are not just in Europe, North Africa, the Caribbean or Australasia, but they are now solid in Africa, and that thanks to this team of dedicated members of the community, law enforcement and the media that's made it happen. Now, McDonald also highlighted that the conference would have not been possible without the hard work and tenacity of conference chairman and head of crime line, Yusuf Abramji, and the local organizing committee. When Alex McDonald gave us the challenge, this is according to Yusuf Abramji, who I spoke to, he says to hold the conference in Cape Town, he promised at the time we will deliver the best conference, the biggest conference in the 35-year history of the organization. And Yusuf Abramji says that he was pleased as they prepared to leave Cape Town, that they delivered not only on the biggest conference, but they delivered on the most successful conference. And then McDonald went on to say that Abramji also signed both of them actually signed the Cape Town Declaration at the close of the conference. The declaration recommits everyone, be it law enforcement, the community, the media in the fight against crime. It's not only a document on paper, they are also pledging to put it into action. And Abramji, to quote him, he says, we are going to be red carding crime and we are going to be blowing the whistle on crime. Let us do our bit to fight crime. Like I said, crime affects not only the world, but affects our communities, it affects us as individuals as well. And we can all make a difference. We're going to go for a break. After the break, inshallah, we're going to be speaking about another story that's been making headlines. Stay tuned.
أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى إلهي صرت في ظرف عصيب فاكشف البلوى فيا ربي أنا.
Welcome back to Perspective. Before the break, we were speaking about the 35th Crime Stoppers International Conference. Just a note, the 36th Crime Stoppers International Conference will be taking place in Ontario, in Canada in 2015. So look forward to that one. Another story that we want to speak about, and it's on everybody's minds, on everybody's social media platforms at the moment. A week ago, nobody in South Africa knew who Chiki Lamba was. Yet, after a week, the name has resonated from every nook and cranny. Wherever you go, whether it's to the shopping mall or family gatherings, the conversation always turns to Chiki Lamba. Now, who is Chiki Lamba? What is all this about? An expletive video showing Chiki Lamba, or Shakil Lamba, and his cronies spewing threats and severely assaulting a businessman from Durban over a supposed love triangle propelled the so-called Godfather to extraordinary levels of fame and synonymy, spawning countless of Chiki Lamba memes. Now, some of these include Chiki Lamba can pay the full Nkandla money with spare change. That's quite hilarious. You know why there is a sandstorm in Joburg? Because Chiki Lamba is emptying his back pocket in Pretoria. So countless of them. If you go onto Twitter and if you search for Chiki Lamba, you will see countless. There's been even spoof videos made, and it's just getting on and on and on. And like I said, the list just goes on. Now, the video went viral after it was posted on a social media platforms before grabbing mainstream attention when a comedian posted it to Facebook last week, Friday. But the question I want to ask you, and the question I'm posing, why the hype? Why the hype about someone or some video that was nothing a week before? And I'll tell you why, and this is just my opinion, and this is just what I feel. Maybe South Africans are sick, tired, and totally bored of Oscar Pistorius, Shri and Devani, the EFF's battle versus the ANC, or even in Kanla for that matter, and want some other juicy news stories to occupy their feeble minds and to chew on. And along, what happens? Comes Chiki Lamba, the cardboard gangster from Pretoria. Maybe South Africans are just fed up with crime, and the nonchalant rogues who want to take over our communities and our neighborhoods saying, you know what, enough is enough. While the memes continue and generate laughs and a whole lot of other spoofs videos that's going on, one thing that's not a laughing matter, assault. Assault, on the other hand, is no laughing matter. And let us hope that such behavior by a group of spoilt, rotten brats who have nothing to do with their time and money and who come from well-respected homes, threatening others as they see fit to do, doesn't go unpunished. This must not go unpunished. At the time of this recording or this program, we understood that one person has been arrested. They are still seeking the other two. So let us hope that the other two are apprehended. While the world attended the 35th Annual Crime Stoppers Conference, mentioned earlier in the program, in Cape Town last week, promising to blow the whistle on crime and red card criminals, the time has come for such outlandish thuggery to be stopped. Before the gun that most of you have seen in the video, before that gun being shoved in someone's face actually goes off, if it hasn't already. And I want to leave you a quote on this particular story. Plato said, "Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws." Now, this particular story, I didn't expound too much on it, but if you want to read the article that I have written, you can go to my webpage, which is faizelpatel.com, where I've written on the article. And like I said, I've looked at the lighter side of it, not actually what happened, but why did this actually happen? Why the hype around this? Nobody knew who Chiki Lamba was a week ago. Covering another story this week, the DA has added its voice to that of the South African Human Rights Commission and the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation in its bid to launch a case against the organization, the Mazibuye African Forum, for its continued anti-Indian sentiments. The opposition party said the utterances made by members of the Mazibuye African Forum are nothing short of racist and must not be tolerated. We are 20 years into a democracy, and yet continued we are seeing violation of human rights, racism. When will it end? Your thoughts and comments. When will racism end? When will prejudice end? We're supposed to be an example to the world as a rainbow nation. Yet we continue to break laws. We continue to flagrantly take our freedom for granted. Now, Indians face discriminations of varying degrees in all parts of South Africa. And not only Indians, everybody, blacks, Indians, coloreds, and many for the injustices of apartheid. The Ahmed Kathrada Foundation last week said it supported an equity court application by the Human Rights Commission against the Mazibuye African Forum and two of its members. The foundation is a second applicant in the hate speech case against the KwaZulu-Natal group, which is the third applicant is a candidate attorney, which is Kirith Haria. Now, the application was recently lodged at the Durban Magistrates Court. Some of the claims in the court papers are that the Mazibuye Forum casts the South African Indian community as being exploitive, being responsible for the poor economic conditions of Africans. And don't you think that is preposterous? Together as a united country, we all fought for freedom. And yet here is a group that is sort of showing that Indians are being exploitive. I mean, it absolutely doesn't make sense. Now, it also believes that the South African Indian community does not belong in South Africa, and are deemed to belong in another country. Now, this is of Mazibuya. That's what it's saying. Now, this is irrespective of the fact that most Indians are born and live in South Africa. Yes, our forefathers came from India and settled or worked in sugarcane fields, but we are born and bred here. And together we also suffer the injustice of apartheid. We will also suffer the injustice of the special branch. We also fought for freedom. We also went to protest. Now, the use of threats of violence and revenge against the Indian community. So this is the kind of thing that the Mazibuya is speaking about. Explaining the foundation's stand on the matter, director of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, Nishan Bolton, said that the Mazibuya African Forum has consistently expressed views on race relations that borders on inflammatory remarks against South Africans, particularly the Indian community. Now, this has happened within the Durban area. Now, Bolton also says its stance has the potential to ignite racial strife and goes against the grain of the ideal of a non-racial and democratic society. Now, he also says hate speech from any other quarter must be confronted and challenged as it poses a risk to nation building and democracy. Now, Bolton did clarify that the Kathrada Foundation has no objection to free and open debate around affirmation action and employment equity policies, but it would not tolerate forms of hate speech and racial propaganda. So I want to know what your thoughts and comments are. 20 years into democracy, we've built such a beautiful nation, over and above corruption that is happening everywhere. You know, we need to live together in harmony and serve as an example to other countries like Israel and Palestine and all of other countries as well. We should be the example for the world that together and united, we can be a beautiful country. Coming on to our tech segment, the iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus. Yes, and that's the news I am excited about at the moment. And I'm telling you the truth, I cannot wait. Apple has confirmed that the latest iPhones will arrive in South Africa as the company rolls out the smartphone to a number of additional countries before November. Take note of this date. On October 24th, the devices will be available in South Africa, the Czech Republic, French West Indies, Greenland, Malta, Poland, and Reunion Island. But the most important one you should be worried about, it's here in South Africa on the 24th of this month. The iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus will arrive by the end of October in 36 additional countries and territories across Europe, Asia, the Middle East, Latin America, and Africa, the company announced on Monday last week. Now, the phones, which are already available in 69 countries, will hit iStore shelves or store shelves on the 17th of October in China, India, and Monaco. Unfortunately, we have to wait until the 24th. Now, on 30th of October, the phones will be available in Bahrain and Kuwait, and on 31st October, the phones are scheduled to arrive in 23 countries, including Greece, Hungary, Mexico, South Korea, and Thailand. South Africans' pricing is not yet clear, but at the time of going to production, their prices has been revealed. They're not cheap. On cash prices, you're looking anything from 12,000 onwards. As far as packages are concerned, we're going to have to see on the 24th when the phone is released, as far as what service providers is concerned. So South African pricing is not yet clear, with local distributor, the Core Group, saying that they are waiting clarity on the recommended retail price. Now, in the meantime, online retailers like takealot.com are offering the iPhone 6 with a 16 gig memory for 12,539 Rand. That is huge, massive. The iPhone 6 includes a 12 centimeter touchscreen, while the iPhone 6 Plus boasts a 14 centimeter screen, both much larger than the 10 centimeter display on its predecessor, the iPhone 5S. Now, both devices carry improved cameras. The phones have new software that turns them into a virtual wallet as Apple introduces mobile payment services, Apple Pay, which will let users process credit card and other financial transactions with that particular device. So, I want to know what phone you're using at the moment. I'm using a 5S. It's an absolutely brilliant phone. Helps a lot of the work that we do. I want to know, are you going to get the iPhone 6 or 6 Plus, and what's the reason? There are scandals that has been associated with it. The phone bends. It also grabs the beard when you're using it. Some of the stories has been making headlines, but I want to know what your thoughts and comments are on the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus and whether you're going to get it. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of another interesting edition of Perspective. Join me again next week when we discuss news making headlines, not only locally, but nationally and internationally. You are welcome to interact with me by sending me a mail on Faizel@itvnetworks.tv, or send me a tweet on @Faizi143, or you can even drop me a comment on facebook.com/Faizel Patel. From myself, Faizel Patel, and the great team here at ITV, fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أناجي الحق في ليل بهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى. أناجي الحق في ليل بهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى. إلهي سرت في ظرف عصيب فاكشف البلوى فيا